All right, guys. Joe McDonough here with my MMAnews.com, joined by Mario Bautista today. Mario, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Getting ready for this fight.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, take me through that. I mean, 2020 already been a great year for you. Went 1-0 with a huge, flying knee, ground and pound. Awesome. It was just awesome to watch. And here we are getting back in the cage.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 was definitely a rough year. I wanted to be more active. Than quarantine, the pandemic, and everything. And then in May, I actually tore my pec, and so that's why I've kind of been gone for a little bit. So, but now I'm finally back and ready to go.
And coming off like injuries like that, is there ever nerves about re-injury, or is it something that doesn't bother fighters?
No, this injury. I mean, I had like an amazing surgeon, and the physical therapy. Man, it was really good, and it. I get asked all the time, do you think about it in training? Do you feel pain?
Hmm.
Honestly, I've totally kind of forgotten about it. The only time I think about it is if I'm benching or something like that, or doing a workout that's pretty heavy. But as far as wrestling, striking and everything, I tend to forget about it. So I feel really good about it.
And another insane opponent for you adding to your resume. I mean, you since you've been in the UFC and even before, but since you've been in the UFC, you fought some, Miles Johns, Cory Sandhagen, who we just saw, essentially book a title shot in the future. You fought this amazing list, and you're adding another guy. What is it with accepting these super tough fights?
Oh, I think everyone in the UFC is tough. I think
Hmm.
Trevin Jones. I mean, he doesn't have like an amazing record, but I think he's very good. He's very dangerous. He's beaten some pretty good people. Um, and he had a pretty good performance. Even though he took it on short notice. Um, but I don't know. I think everyone's just pretty tough in the division. I think anyone I matched up against turns out to be pretty good fights. So
And I think, every time you are matching up against someone with most of 135, it's just a super amazing fight for us fans to watch. I mean, you may be biased here, and rightfully so, but I'm going to ask you, and I think my answer is going to be the same as yours. What is the deeper division in the UFC, 135 or 155? And I'm going to go with 135.
uh, it's a toss up. They're both really good divisions. I think 155 has bigger names. Guys that have been here a little bit longer. The 135-pound division, it's again some light. Guys coming down from 45, Frankie, Jose. It's but I am going to be biased, and I think my division is it right now.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I think 135 is probably the deepest division. You can make arguments for 135 and 155 being the most top heavy, but when it comes to deep, that 10 through 15, and then on to those guys that are right on the bubble, is just, I mean, insanity. So take me through. How is training camp been? I know you said the injury. You don't think much about it, but where are you at now?
Um, this during physical therapy, I told the UFC, I'd be good to go in January. And I think they're making, matchups for the contender series guys. They're cutting some people. Um, so I was just staying prepared, for a situation like this, where I would get a short notice and you know, Casey and Kyler, my teammates, they're fighting on the same card. They were getting ready, so I was getting ready with them. And this opportunity came, and I felt good. I felt, the best shape I've ever been in, uh, technically, mentally. So, so I'm able to take this opportunity.
And I recently spoke. I have a Coach's Corner podcast where John Crouch, your guys' head coach over at the MMA Lab, great guy, great gym, came on, and we spoke for a long time about the culture and everything. And you had mentioned Casey Kenney, and that was one of our topics. Um, how in helping him prepare for such a big fight, and yourself as a fighter, and you fought some big names. But how weird is it at times to fight a guy like Dominic Cruz or help a trainer?
Yeah, I mean that's something. No one better than Casey Kenney to overcome something like that. That kid,
Mhm.
he's he has a great mindset for things like that. He, shines bright under those lights. He doesn't let those things get to him. So I know fight night, he's going to perform, the way he always does. I don't think it's going to really get to him. So, for me, maybe it'd be a little bit different but for him, I'm excited for him.
And to have, the MMA Lab and have such, a plethora of names, training partners, all these guys, to have those guys at your disposal on a daily basis, not only as training partners, but the fight IQ, the minds of the sport, but whether coaches, fighters, all that stuff, being in that gym every day. I mean, how much does it help you on a daily basis as, a UFC fighter?
Well, it helps me out a lot, even, working out with the 35ers, sparring with them, and even, I don't want to say older generation, hopefully I don't offend anyone, but, Benson's always been in my corner, and he's always, giving me advice, from when I was an amateur, going through my pro fights and UFC fights. And Jared Cannonier, he tore his pec 2 months before I did. So I just followed his routine, and, he had a pretty tough fight, his first fight back, but, I was just looking up to him during that whole process. So, I take a lot from those guys.
Mhm. And is there any extra, maybe not added pressure, but obviously a huge pay per view, and your name's on there against a guy that people love to watch. Both of you guys, some big knockouts and fun fights, fan favorites. Is there some extra pressure to have this be like a fight of the night contender?
I'm not putting that pressure on myself, it turn into that. But there's some good fights on that card, so I'm not going to be looking for a bonus or anything like that. I'm not going to be chasing that because Chase might not ever get it. So, but no, I believe we're the first fight, so no pressure. Um, I'm just focused on my fight, and that's pretty much
Mhm.
it.
And what do you have a prediction for us?
I'm prepared for a war. I've been kind of wrong in my predictions for my last fights. I wasn't supposed to, trade and bang with Jinsu, and then with Miles, I was supposed to, get him tired and gas him, and that didn't turn out that way either. So, but like I said, I'm ready for a war, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, and I think we'll all love a war. You know, last one for me here. This would be three in a row, three big wins against three pretty big names. I'm sure that Cory Sandhagen loss is something that you want back. Is that something we could see in the future? Is that a fight that you'd be, looking for in the future?
Yeah, if everything goes the way I plan, I don't want to progress through the division without getting to him first. I wouldn't feel right if I, you know, later on down the road passed him or, skip the line. I would have to get past him first, for me personally,
Hmm.
but by the end of the year, hopefully I'll be cracking the top 15 and working my way up to them.
Hmm. And in a perfect world, obviously 2020 was far from a perfect world, but hopefully 2021 being much better of one. How many times would you like to fight this year?
I would say, well, we're already in March, at least 2 more times. If I can get four
Yeah.
in, perfect, but ideally three.
Hmm. And it's insane to me to think that we're already in March of 2021. So, I mean, who knows? Well, Mario, thank you very much for the time, man. I appreciate it. And I think we're all looking forward to watching that fight at UFC 259.
Not a problem. Thank you for your time, man.